it's obnoxious to have to deal with this kind of stuff on a regular basis, but when you actually stand for truth and you actually stand for real values, you end up having a problem with the radical libertarians out there. Now, the radical libertarians are not that far from the left. They actually stand for LGBTQ values. They stand for doing it in the road. They stand for rampant drug use. And it's just a excuse of a philosophy to just justify degeneracy. And so it's very similar. You can't really tell the difference very much between one of those types and between the blue-haired weirdos. And in fact, they act the same. In fact, in many ways, they're actually worse about having an inability to even have different viewpoints than anybody else, because if you don't agree with them 100%, they go like a mob. Now, you combine this with social media tactics, and you end up having problems where you get dopamine hits and all that for joining a little mob of cancel culture. And now, unfortunately, this convention that's called itself basedcon is involved in this stuff. There's nothing based about this. I'm calling it debasedcon at this point. It's really, really sad. It's got some guests who are good people at this juncture, but naturally, when you're in this situation, you can't really get anybody to stand up and say anything to the person who's actually doing ill, because they don't want to lose their little clout positions because of this. Now, this is not that much of a con. There's like 50 people who show up. It's in Michigan somewhere, so it's kind of a joke on that level, where it's like, it's not really moving the needle or anything like that. And I don't even know that it's going to continue after this year, because the guy in charge is going to be fleeing the country because he can't afford to make a living as an author here. So it's all just like the same thing. And we talk about this in the context of Worldcon and SIFWA. A lot of pretending goes on in the author industry, and a lot of clout goes on in the author industry. And so when you try to actually do something and you're actually doing well for yourself, and you are standing up for real values, you end up getting attacked quite a bit on this level. And so that's what it's all about, is nobody wants somebody else peeling back the curtain and showing the truth of what's going on in these types of industries. And so this isn't something I really want to deal with, but unfortunately, it is something that I have to deal with on a regular basis. And so here it is. This is it. D&D, and my, of course, standing against Dungeons & Dragons degeneracy, the terrible stuff that Wizards of the Coast is doing, has now gotten me a ban from this convention right here. And we'll talk about it right now. My name's John Delarose. Everybody, please hit the like and subscribe button. Join us here. Part of the other problem is I'm a #1 best-selling author in multiple categories, from science fiction to fantasy, now to actually nonfiction. I just came out with a book, Churchianity: How Modern American Churches Corrupted Generations of Christians. And it is very poignant. It really illustrates the ills of what's going on with people who equivocate and actually reject tradition, reject values for the sake of just trying to be in this comfortable spot of clout and degeneracy. That's actually what the whole book's about. And so, yes, it makes people uncomfortable, but it is a message that needs to be heard and people need to understand. This became a #1 bestseller last week. Thanks so much, guys, for supporting and actually reading the book. I'm already getting the Concern Troll reviews on here. I got one this morning. Look at this. A friend sent me information about this book, so I did some research on John and Vox. So look at this. I didn't buy the book, didn't read the book. Someone else sent me information on this. I did research on me, or this person did research on me, and then gave me a 1-star just to be like, I wouldn't touch this book with a 10-foot pole. Well, you didn't. So you're reviewing it based on false pretenses here. Of course, this is what happens every single time. These people just want to hurt businesses. They just want to hurt people, maintain their clout structures. This is involved in the church. This is involved everywhere. Because, again, real values are something that scare people, and this is exactly what's happening here. So I'm going to put this in the description below. I also have a newsletter, web store, if you want to check out my science fiction books and the like. If you want to support the channel, support real authors who actually do stand up for real values. Really appreciate you being here, and thanks for, again, just like making this something where I do have a bunch of success over the years, despite all of the attempts by authors to just go at me all the time. And so this happened this morning. I have Robert Crucy is a libertarian author. He's a libertarian. And he's built an online following by mostly quote tweeting people and then gotcha tweeting them. And this is what he does. He gotcha tweets people for attention. And he doesn't really have much else going on. Not been super successful over the years. I think his last Kickstarter had 100 and something backers. So it's like this is kind of what he's doing. Now, he's had some problems, of course, with cancel culture himself. Got removed from major publishers because they don't like that libertarian sort of thing. and yet for some reason just can't exist here. So we see he posted this morning, since a certain author is still spreading lies about me, saying I stole his money after he bought a ticket to BaseCon. Here's a record of reversing the charge 27 minutes after he made it. I know he's a liar, but he might actually be retarded as well. Well, I never got any notification of this kind of thing, so there's no lying involved here. I like that he prints my full name and zip code to try to, of course, intimidate me. Very weird stuff on that level. Now, the reason that this gets done is, again, there's a clout industry in the fiction publishing industry for attacking. And so this is what he wants to do for some free attacks. I resent having to expend any effort at all on this person. Well, you shouldn't have done that. Like, why would you be banning me? Now, I was banned in 2018 from the World Science Fiction Convention under similar pretenses. They attacked me. They libeled me a racist bully, and I had to sue them for it. Now, Robert Crucy is a little bit more of a quizzling weirdo who will not actually say why I'm banned because he knows that I'll sue somebody over it because I am in the correct. And it is bad to ban people from public conventions, especially when it comes to something like this. You call yourself basedcon. Why are you banning like one of the most based people out there in all of fandom? I mean, it's ridiculous, right? It's kind of like false advertising at that point. Note that he bought a tip kit. He says after I told him he would not be allowed to attend. Now, this is interesting because this is not exactly the truth, but here's what it is. He knows how to jump in front of trains and then play the victim. So now my buying a ticket to a public convention is now, quote, playing victim and jumping in front of trains. No, as an author in these spaces, I have a right to attend public conventions, right? And I have a right to be here in the industry despite this guy saying this. Now, this guy's been going at me for a while, and he's been mad at me for a while, and it's all because of Clout, and it's all because he gets some dopamine hits after getting some comments and some likes on this. This is what he likes to do online. He spends his time attacking people, especially folk on the right, like Trump and etc., because he doesn't like when it's going non-libertarian for him because he can't handle other people's opinions on things. Really, really sad. I never did anything to this guy, never said anything bad, just promoted his books for years, and this is how you get treated because like they see, they get jealous. It really is what it is. And so that's the whole deal. So, he gets a lot of comments, and he's sad I knew who this was before the screenshot. We were friendly, even shared a publisher, but he's changed since then. He's got talent as an author, thank you for that, but chose to be known as a troublemaker. How am I, again, like, what makes me a troublemaker about buying a ticket and getting banned? Now, if you want to see the interchange on this, you could see the angry comments. He goes, every time I think maybe I'm being harsh on that guy, he goes on something like this. Well, again, I bought a ticket and got banned. Like, what did I do? Not good drama, old drama. He didn't understand the 2-3 days bank takes to post refunds, somebody said. I can't speak to this into, being refunded or not is really not the problem here. The problem's a basedcon is banning based people, right? And say, like, lots of attacks, and you just go away and stay gone. All these irrelevant people who are just piling up his comments and making him feel good about himself. He got a bunch of likes. I guess he really won the day. But except for that, but here's really what happened. This is where it comes down to Dungeons and Dragons and what happened earlier this year. So, this guy really just wanted to gotcha me, and I put Dungeons and Dragons is satanic. We must destroy it for good, like we're an adventure party fighting evil monsters, right? And it's because D&D posted Happy Pride Month. Let's go explore how D&G encourages inclusivity. This is from their official account. Now, if you look at what they've done with the 2024 edition, there's been a lot of controversy about it. Even Elon Musk got involved in Dungeons & Dragons talking about how woke it's gone and how crazy it's been that it does not just have adventure party fighting evil monsters, right? That's exactly what it was to begin with, right? And so now it's really changed and all that, and it is a group of satanic liberals in the Midwest who hate the original creators of Dungeons & Dragons, who hate anybody on the right, and they've been absolutely terrible this last year. Now, maybe in Rob's defense, he didn't know about this, right? And maybe he just like saw this and was like, I gotcha the guy because my mom didn't let me play Dungeons & Dragons when I was a child. And maybe he was just so outraged just at my mere existence. And then, look, it was on my own feed. He just had to go for it and then call me names here because libertarians don't have any real points. They just got to call names, ad hominem. Absolute clown, John. Wow. Oh, yes, please clap. And he did this again for the responses it was going to get because he wanted to get some good angry comments about me and how bad I am on this post, just like he was doing today, right? So I called him out on this because of what's going on. I said, why are you simping for this objectively evil Wizards of the Coast company, which is pushing the satanic LGBTQ propaganda on gamers? And it is. Absolutely. We shouldn't be afraid to call something satanic that actually is satanic. And this is a part of the culture where they're trying to gaslight you about these types of things. I said, so much for the basedcon guy, just another woke propagandist. You're all fake. And as you could see, swears at me. Somebody actually was posting about it and saying he swears at that guy too. Starts swearing at another guy who was talking about it, and it's like, whoa, this is pretty wild. Like, this guy literally has this like weird rage hate, and I have no idea why. It's like, what's going on here? So naturally, somebody suggested, and where he says like. Where he said the point about, he bought a ticket even though I told him he wasn't allowed to come. No, he didn't actually tell me this. This never happened anywhere, but this is what happened. And so somebody else mentioned I should go to the convention and actually stand up for my real Christian values. And I said, that's a great idea. And he said, I hope he does show up. I'll toss him on his ass like I did the last guy who tried that. So he threatened to assault me if I showed up to the convention. So not only did he swear at people who were like not agreeing with him, swearing at me over, again, because he likes D&D Pride Month, I guess. I don't understand what his point is here. Still has never elaborated to that. But that's what all of this apparently is about, because he really wanted that gotcha really bad for some likes. And I said, you know what? This is something that's not acceptable. Like, you are of course promoting the LGBTQ agenda by calling out the person who's calling that out. Like, it's absurd behavior. Like, why would you do this? But this is what they do. The libertarians like to counter-signal people on the right. They like to counter-signal people on the right because it makes them feel like, I'm in the middle and everybody else is just too far, and it's like, I'm not the extremist. And that's kind of their sort of whole attitude, their very hoity-toity attitude about their lack of philosophy out there, because they don't actually stand for anything. They just stand for just rampant degeneracy, just like the left does. And so that's what you got right here. So this got really, really weird at this point, and as you can see, it ended up with a threat of assault, then blocked me. I had no idea what was going on, so I'm like, you know what, I'll buy a ticket and I'll go to the convention. And that's when all this went down. Now I'm dealing with this in some massive personal attacks this morning because of all this level. Now, like I said, just does it because there is a group out there that does get a lot of attention. And so it's funny when the people go on there going like, oh, he's just starting fights for attention. It's like, this guy's literally starting a fight for attention. I had no problem with them, nothing about this. But here's where it all comes back to. There's another author out there, his name's Larry Correia, who attacked me in 2018. And now all of these people in here like to just like they're sycophants of that guy, hoping that guy is going to give him some extra attention or whatnot, because they, again, they just don't sell all that well. And so they're hoping that he's going to actually make their careers for them. Well, since that guy attacked me, like, there's this whole structure of people who do it together in hopes that they're going to get some extra attention. And they just rage at the internet in their little echo chambers, and it's really, really sad. Well, like the people on there said, this guy was a talented author. It's very, very sad that he feels like he can't do anything and actually can't sell books as well as I can without, like, starting fights for attention. And it's very, very sad that he's actually destroyed this whole basedcon concept because, this is going on this weekend. It's like it's going to be a big cloud over it now because of what? Because this guy had to act like an ass online and couldn't just have a discussion about, I guess, woke D&D. Weird. But hey, if you want to be into woke D&D, that's on you. I'm going to continue to call it out because Dungeons & Dragons has fallen very, very far. It has turned into a nightmare of a product. Wizards of the Coast is a terrible company that is in woke Seattle. They are just a soulless, evil shell of a corporation, and they deserve all that sort of attention that they get. So that's what we'll do here. We'll continue to report the news in the fantasy and sci-fi news, my friends. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and I appreciate you guys being here. We do stand for real values here. It's going to get the slings and arrows at us at different times, and because of that, I'm expected to do this, and it's not a big deal, but there are different times where it has to be done, And that's exactly why we're going to win, because we are going to stick true to what is right and what is true. Now, this is my new book, Churchianity. And like I said, this type of thing is going on in the church as well. And there's a lot of it going out there with a ton of social justice being pushed, much like it's doing in D&D, much like it's doing in science fiction and fantasy. And this is a very important read this weekend. So thank you guys for making me a #1 bestseller again. It's been awesome stuff. And it's in the description below. If you like science fiction and fantasy and the like, you can check out my books in the description below as well. And thank you for the support. Sign up for my newsletter, join my community in Discord, and we'll be back soon.